Tim X Moby, Friends to Lovers by Ugly Cat Govroom. Tim X Moby, Part 1. Tim looked deep into Moby's eyes. Did it work? Can you speak now? Did it, Moby exclaimed. Tim hugged Moby happily. He could make him truly speak. Tim, Moby began. I have always wanted to say this without beeping. Tim stared at Moby confused. What is it? Moby paused and stared at the ground for a moment. Are you going to tell me or not? Moby looked up, deep into Tim's eyes. That I love you, and I always will. They stared in a moment of silence when suddenly, Tim pulled Moby close, and suddenly Tim woke up. Tim jumped out of bed. What just happened? Timothy, you're going to be late for school, Tim's mom yelled downstairs. Tim rushed to change and get downstairs. His mom had just left for work and he had no ride when he suddenly heard a car horn beep outside. Tim rushed out the door, grabbing his bag, and saw his best friend robot Moby parked out his front in his bright red convertible. Get in, loser, Moby joked, waving his arms out to him. Tim laughed as he hopped in the car. The only loser here is you, robot boy. Moby could only beep. But Tim understood. Moby taught Tim what he meant when they were little. Tim loved to remember when they met. It was one of the best days of his life. Tim was choking on sand from the sandbox when Moby, the new robot, came and knocked it out of him. They've been friends ever since. Hey dude, Moby beeped as Tim blinked back into reality. We're here. Oh cool, Tim said, regaining his thoughts and getting out of the car. The school was there and he had to separate from Moby. The day was boring and all. Tim could think about his dream. Could he really have a crush on his best robot friend? If he really had a crush on his best robot friend, then that would create a whole problem. He stared into his locker thinking. Tim! His girlfriend shouted as he rushed over to him. Oh, hey Laura, Tim responded, stopping his thoughts about Moby. The problem I spoke of was his girlfriend. If he had a crush on Moby, how could he explain this to his girlfriend? He didn't like her that much, but she was popular, so he thought maybe it was meant to be. But the boredom of the relationship proved him wrong. Every day he wished she would break up with him, but sadly that hasn't happened yet. You want to go to the mall with me tomorrow? Laura asked, staring into Tim's bright brown orbs. Oh, of course I want to go with you. Alright, I'll see you there, Laura cheerfully replied before rushing off with her friends. Tim sighed, wishing he didn't have to go, when Moby came up behind him. Beep, beep, beep. Moby started beeping. Nothing, just annoyed, I guess, Tim answered, turning to Moby. Beep, Moby responded. Beep, beep. They went outside to Moby's car and hopped in. Moby turned on the radio. Something about the new president, Hatsune Miku, was being said. But Tim just zoned out thinking about his dream. He couldn't imagine what would happen to their friendship if he told Moby he liked him. He wasn't even sure if he liked him. He kept thinking, and the dream was happening all over again when suddenly, Moby said something different. Beep! Moby spoke up. Tim opened his eyes, and he had fallen asleep on Moby's shoulder. Blushing and flustered, he quickly sat back up. Beep, 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 boop. Moby beeped and laughed. I guess so, Tim said, getting out of the car and rushing inside. He really did love Moby. Part 2. The next day was dreadfully arrived. Tim had another dream about Moby. This time they were kissing in the car, which made getting up this morning severely awkward because of the boner. Today was his date to the mall with Laura. It was a bright, sunny Saturday, and his mom had even made pancakes for him and his younger sister Annie. "Are you excited to go on your date with your girlfriend Laura?" Annie giggled. Yeah, Tim responded. "How'd you know about that?" "Mom told me." "Oh, okay." He ate and then went back to his room to get ready. Maybe it was time for things to end between him and Laura. He never really loved her. It was just because they were both popular. Now that he really thought about it, he never actually liked her. As a friend, maybe, but he never loved her in the way he loved Moby. "I have to do it," Tim said to himself in the mirror. "I have to end things with Laura." Some time had passed, and it was finally time for his date. He drove his car down to the mall and went to meet with Laura by Forever 22. "Tim," Laura said, rushing to greet him. "There you are." "Hey, Laura," Tim said, preparing for the moment he had to end things with her. She truly was a nice girl, but he couldn't lead her on any longer. They went around and Tim bought her many things. A sweatshirt from Forever 22, an eyeshadow palette from Ultra, and a plush bear from the Disney store. They sat at the food court eating their pretzels. Tim began, "Laura, I have something to tell you." "No, I have something to tell you," Laura cut him off. "I want to break up with you." Tim stared at her, somewhat confused but also relieved. "I date you because that's what our friends want. But I don't want to date you. I want to date Julia." Tim stared, and in relief he responded, "I don't love you either. I love Moby." They got up and hugged each other. Neither of them had lost their friend, because they both felt the same pain of pretending to love each other. They parted ways to go home, relieved with the outcome of their break. When Tim got back to his car, he just sat there and thunk. "I have to tell Moby," he spoke to himself. "I have to." Part 3. Tim drove to Moby's house as quick as possible. It had begun raining, but he didn't care. He parked in front of Moby's house and rushed to the door. He began knocking on the door as hard as he could. "Moby," he said as Moby answered the door. "Beep, boop, beep," Moby asked in a panic. I broke up with Laura." "Beep, beep, 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 boop, boop, boop," Moby said, putting his hand on Tim's shoulder. "But it's okay, 'cause," Tim began, and paused, staring into Moby's robotic eyes. "Beep?" Moby looked confused. "Because I love you, Moby," Tim shouted before pulling Moby close and kissing him. They stopped and stared at each other. Tim's face was bright red and full of panic. What if Moby didn't like him that way? What if their whole friendship was over? All these thoughts filled his mind when suddenly Moby kissed him back. "Beep, boop, boop, beep," Moby said, staring at him. "Beep, boop, beep." The kissing session then intensified. Moby exploring the inner caverns of Tim's mouth. Tim, who was just an 18-year-old young boy, was gasping in pleasure by Moby's robotic skills. Moby then moved down to the soft spot on Tim's neck, where he started sucking. Tim moaned in pleasure as Moby left a hickey on Tim's neck. Moby then started trailing down, leaving metallic robotic kisses from Tim's chest all the way down to his member. Just then, Moby looked up at Tim, and Tim looked down at Moby. Tim said, Moby, are you sure you want to do this? Moby looked up and nodded. Beep, bop, beep. Tim looked down assuredly, and Moby pulled down Tim's pants to reveal his huge 8-inch member. Moby quickly turned on his sucking mode and began going away at Tim's member. He was sucking with his Suck Vacuum 3000 while Tim was moaning incredibly. Moby swerved, making his robotic tongue lick the side of Tim's penis and making sure that Tim was experiencing the best orgasm of his life. Only minutes later, Tim gasped and said, Moby, fuck Moby, that's so fucking good. Moby, I'm gonna. And Tim climaxed into Moby's mouth. Moby drained Tim of his reproductive fluids and made sure to keep it into his robotic belly as a sample. He stood up again and looked at Tim. Tim looked at him. And finally, Tim said, I love you. Moby responded, beep, boop, beep, beep. They both kissed one more time before departing on their ways, happy that both of them could express their true feelings about one another. The end.